Good morning. So here we are. This is Kathy Basel with the Vitality Code, and we're going live today in Limitless Women Rising. This entire month of September is themed Having Miracles with Money. So the reason I chose to do this is that after the pandemic and all the talk of recession and things like that, we've been cooped up, we've been confined, we're in survival mode, if you will. There's a lot of fear kicked up in the world, and it's time for us to just say, okay, I'm not going to be at the effect of the fear in the collective story anymore. So this whole month in the Facebook group is going to be dedicated towards sharing different mindsets, affirmations, declarations. I'm going to share some of my best processes with how you can unplug from some of that, the collective story, and begin to create your own vision around what it is that you would like to experience, specifically with money. A lot of times I think sometimes we'll use the broader word like abundance or prosperity, which yeah, we want all that too. But let's not be in avoidance of the currency in which some of that abundance comes to us, and that is in money. So I know that one for me for a very, very long time, my life, I had a wonderful, wonderful life, but there was a part of me that was rejecting money. And I would, with my job, had all kinds of opportunities and experiences that were just, honestly, I lived a charmed life. I got to travel. I did amazing banquets at these very fancy resorts, and I always did it without money. So when we recognize it's like, what's going on here? I've got a pattern around this, and begin to just look at under the surface, if you will, because what's happening on the surface is really just the outcropping of what our thoughts and beliefs and our habits are up until now. And what we don't recognize is that a lot of that is being run by what's going on in the subconscious. They say, and there's all kinds of numbers to talk about this, but that upwards of 95% of the thoughts we're thinking, the habits we're having, is actually driven by the beliefs and the trapped emotions that are hiding in the subconscious mind. So a great metaphor around that is like a iceberg. So just 5% of that iceberg, they're gargantuan. Only 5% of it is sticking out of the water, and the other 95% is lying underneath the water. And that's the big trap right there. If you're the Titanic, you want to make sure not that you're just seeing the 5% sticking out, but how big is that iceberg underneath? I love working with people around money, because money is one of the most emotionally charged subjects on the face of the planet. Right now, again, we've got so much angst kicked up around this, but really our belief around money gets down to that core belief about who we are. How worthy are you? Are you supported in the world? Are you deserving to have good money? So anyways, let's dive into some of that. We're going to dig under the surface. We're going to explore that 95% today. And I'm going to speak specifically in terms of trapped emotions. That's kind of my specialty, is getting in there and recognizing what trapped emotions are. So this is kind of fascinating from my perspective, is that when we're born, we're kind of, you think about holding a baby. Ask that baby, do you think that baby is looking up at you and saying, I'm not worthy, or I'm not going to earn big bucks when I grow up? We come in and we're these pure whole souls, and we are abundant, we're creative, we're resourceful, we're connected, and we have our desires. We're hungry, we're going to cry about it, and chances are we're going to ask, and that ask is received. But what happens is that as we're exposed, we are basically energetic beings, and we're surrounded in this environment with our family. And our family has their own storylines going on, their own dramas and struggles and challenges. And we are picking up the beliefs and the thoughts and feelings subconsciously. We're not even aware that we're picking this up. And what's fascinating is that our brains actually are still in a very low vibe, if you will, certain alpha wave. When we're young, we are absorbing everything without discrimination. We are impressionable. We're soaking everything up like a sponge. And those struggles, or maybe just even the limiting self-talk that our parents may have been having around finances, are things that we're taking, and it's impressing upon our own belief structure what we think to be possible for ourselves. Most of this is happening up until the age around 8 or 10. And so when I work with people, a lot of the beliefs, I call it the crash and burns. They're mini traumas that happen to us around our belief structure, around who we believe ourselves to be, that happen in those very formative childhood years. And get this, so we've got our immediate family, so we're kind of like soaking in the pea soup, if you will, of their thought beliefs, what are their limiting stories around money, but where did they get it from? And so what's happening right now, I love everything that's stirred up right now, because it's like turning the soil. And we inherited it from our parents, but they in turn inherited it from their parents. And so in this society, we are at the effect of eons of impressions and limitations, and I would even dare to say there's a thing called overtangles, which is an overtangle of perhaps limitation that certain institutions may have put upon us in order to keep us kind of controllable, if you will. It's a control mechanism, but it's inherited. We don't recognize that those old patterns and programming are playing in our background. And so we need to take this time to become present to it. It's running in the subconscious. That subconscious is not in our conscious awareness. So when we bring unconscious thoughts to our conscious, now we can begin to strategize, bring tools, and bring some ways of releasing this to our world. But get this, so my folks, they had their own struggles growing up. I have 3 older sisters. My dad was a entrepreneur, always, to me, in my perspective, chasing a way to make the next buck, if you will. And he struggled, and in my experience, never got to the point where he was successful. So all those storylines, and what are the ones that you inherited, that you heard kind of funny stuff about, what do you think I am, made of money? Or, do you think I'm Rockefeller? Or money doesn't grow on trees? Specifically around business, the belief sounded like, you got to work hard for your money. That one's huge right now. There's a recession, so we got to save all the money that we can for that rainy day. But when we apply the law of attraction to that, when we save for the rainy day, we're actually having the seedling, if you will, of that fear, of that desperation around that money's not abundant. But my parents were older when they had me. And so literally they were first generation. My grandparents were lived during the Depression. So can you imagine the kind of thoughts, and these are very real, this is the circumstances that they were living in, trying to survive in, but very, very core survival kinds of self-talk around how hard you'd work for money. There's never enough money. What would it take? I can only make this much money, maybe back then they were only making, a few dollars an hour, kind of a thing. So there was a glass ceiling that they knew themselves to be capable of earning at that point in time. But those beliefs literally are passed down in our DNA. And whether it's practical or rational or in our conscious minds, those are inadvertently still casting a shadow, if you will. So the point of today is all about bringing some of those things that might be in the unconscious thoughts or running in the subconscious to the conscious mind. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kathy Basel, and I'm a transformational life coach. I do energy work because it's so essential, guys. If we are not addressing these thoughts, like you can do affirmations, which are happening kind of on a mental level. They're good if you do them repetitively and consistently. But a lot of times the shortcoming with affirmations, I find, is that we're trying to put something like, oh, I'm going to break that $100,000 mark or 200,000, whatever your number is. But there's that bit that voice inside of us that doesn't believe it. And until we get to the root of what that voice, what platform that voice is standing on, it's a worthiness issue, it's a deservingness issue, maybe it's a safety issue around money, then we're not going to be able to, regardless of how hard we try, there's just going to be so much more struggle around getting to that next point. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And so if you'll hop into the Limitless Women Rising Facebook page, I've been doing some posts, and I look at manifestation in 4 steps. So the first, last week we were talking about getting clear, crystal clear about what it is that you truly want. So think about that right now. And let's calibrate into these things. We'll go there. The second thing is that if you've got this ask, and let's say your number is $250,000. Okay, I want to be, this is my goal. Get super clear. What does that goal mean to you on an energetic level? What does your life look like? Like, explore and feel into that. Bring it fully alive. Our bodies are sensory beings, and they're kind of the intermediary between the spiritual aspect of our oversouls that are looking and tapped into the abundance of all that is. So if we can get that to a vibrational level, our voice, our body is showing up with a resonance that's going to attract. So that's the first one, is getting clear on exactly what it is that you want. Imbibe that, pump it up with that emotion. The second is, if you've got some old negative beliefs, or if you've got the crash and burn, the trapped emotions holding you down with that glass ceiling, you better take the top off before you try to stop. The thought that just came to mind was popping popcorn, and you got too much popcorn in there and you've got the top on it and it's popping so far, but then you've got this top on and it's holding it down. We want to take that top off so that the abundance is free to flow easily, effortlessly in every direction. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. The third is to give thanks. Give thanks in the sheer belief and knowing that this is happening. You are deserving, you are aligned, you are thankful and joyful that this is coming. It's on its way. It may not be here physically yet. And that's sometimes a little trap. We'll be talking about that next week, of when you're asking for the manifestation and we get a little impatient, it's not here yet. And that puts a roadblock up to it actually being able to find us. So we'll be talking about that next week. And then the fourth is actually about how we live in the vibration, becoming that future you, the one who is having it. But we need to take the actions beginning today, so that it gives signals to Providence. We are committed. We are taking action. It's showing, walking in faith and trust that it's coming to you. And so I'll be talking about how we demonstrate to the universe so that it will begin to heap those, the abundance and money our way. So again, today we're talking about that vibrational aspect. If you are asking for a goal that's a level 10 goal, maybe that's $250,000, and you've got a belief that I can never make more than $100,000, or maybe even less, who knows? Nobody in my family's ever made that much money. How many stories are beneath that? Then we're going to really struggle. We're going to be limited. We're going to be that manifestation is going to be held back from us. So today is about offloading some of those beliefs. And there's more in there than you can possibly even imagine. So I'm going to share my screen here. I put together a visual. The technique that I use is called the emotion code. And the one that I'm going to be sharing with today. The emotion code is, and here's the recipe for creating miracles. Get clear on your desire. Release. This is what we're doing today. Release anything that's not a vibrational match to that. Give thanks that it is done and it's on its way to you. And then act and enjoy and play and dance in the present moment, giving proof that it's on its way. So here is the chart of emotions, the top 60 emotions that were identified by the creator of this technique that I use. It's called the emotion code, and it was created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He is a chiropractor and recognized he was helping his patients have wonderful results, but oftentimes would get to a certain plateau that beyond which they couldn't seem to expand, right? What he recognized is and identified the system that he shares so openly. And I'm sharing with you today how it's the emotional and energetic stopping points that are keeping us trapped in these emotions. It's kind of similar to some extent of acupuncture, how different emotions tend to be attracted and hide out in our body, and they tend to hang out in different aspects. So just for instance, abandonment tends to land in the heart or the small intestines, like all of these ones here would lie here. Anxiety, failure, hopelessness, all these are spleen and stomach. We've got the lung and colon, oftentimes rejection, sadness, sorrow, grief can be in the lungs, colon, those areas, liver, gallbladder. You can see down here the different aspects that this is impacting. Again, I just wanted to touch on, these are the top 60 emotions, and we're going to do a group walkthrough of this, but I want you to identify what emotions you feel that you have experienced when it comes to money. And now money's kind of a big topic, if you will. So let's break that down even further. Think about your current level of income. And now, as you think about that number, write it down on a piece of paper. And then I ask you to look through this list of emotions and see which ones you may have experienced in all of your lifetime when you look at this. Also, as you're looking, think about your parents. When you think about their income, or maybe your grandparents, let's go through these. Maybe not so much this first one, but certainly now the crash of the stock market has kicked up lots of anxiety, despair, nervousness, worry. Start jotting down these emotions that are here. That's 4 in that first block. In that second block that we're hitting on. Have you ever cried about money, been discouraged, felt rejected? Maybe everybody else was going on vacation, but you couldn't. Or boy, the programming we have for our men around being the providers. Think about the roles in our society. Men have to be the providers with the money, and women have to be dependent on these men to be the providers, or what are we? So is there rejection? Is there sadness, sorrow? Have you ever been angry about money? And this could be something that somebody else did to you. Maybe somebody took some money from you. Could be childhood days. My sister stole my piggy bank. That sat with me as a childhood experience. That was a small trauma that can billow into belief structures that you're holding subconsciously about it's hard to hold on to my money. Somebody's going to take my money. So maybe there's angerness, bitterness. Have you ever felt guilty around money? Hatred, resentment, all kinds of things. Look at these: blaming, dread, fear, horror, peeved. Let's look at all these. Let's hop over to the second column. Effort unreceived. Have you ever worked and felt like you were underpaid for the good work that you were doing? Or maybe you're trying to build your business and you're not getting the clients that you desire. That's effort unreceived. Have you ever had heartache around money? Maybe there's something that you truly always wanted to do. You always wanted to go to Disney, take the kids to Disney. And it was a heartache because you couldn't take them. Is there insecurity? Are you feeling uncertain, not knowing what the future holds because you are not confident in your ability to create income? Is there a limit to the amount of joy that you are willing to experience because of money? If you had $1 million, compare that. If you had $1 million right now, would you have more joy? Would you allow yourself to have more joy? And that's where I want to do some distinction. Is it's really our own interpretation of what's available to us now. But let's continue with this little exploration. So we've got vulnerability. Are you vulnerable because you're limited on the amount of money that you've got? There's failure. That's a big one. Big, big, big. And think about, okay, our own storyline around that. Think about the collective of what's going on right now. You can work hard for your money, but recession is happening. Your money's worth less and less every day. You can go to the grocery store. Oh my goodness. From one week to the next and see the increase in prices right now, inflation. So failure, is there a sense of helplessness and hopelessness that comes along with what's going on right now? The lack of control. This is out of my control. I can't control the economy, right? How about self-esteem? Whew. This is so intrinsically related to our self-esteem, how much money we're making, at least in our society in the United States. We make a lot of money and we rate ourselves and compare ourselves to others based on how we're doing. And this might not be your storyline. Maybe that's not your storyline, but have you been at the effect energetically of other people in your surrounds, people you work with, people you went to school with? All this, we're energetic beings picking this up, even just a little bit, the size of a mustard seed. That doubt, that comparison might be pinging in your background and becoming a vibrational attraction factor for what's even possible for you. Let's continue down. Confusion. Confusion's a good one. We're not taught about money in this society. It's so fundamental to how our society operates, and yet there truly is not a lot of education around money. So are you confused? Where should I put my money now? Defensiveness. Hey, I make enough money, whatever. Grief, self-abuse. That's a big one. Self-abuse. Have you been abusing yourself for, gosh, I should be further ahead than I am right now? Or maybe parents put a limiter on you. I'm not worthy, go. My dad, trying to give me good advice, was saying things like go be an accountant because the world always needs accountants. So it's seemingly good, well-intended advice, and yet that can also put a glass ceiling on you. So are there abuses that you're you're using against yourself? You're repeating the maybe some limiters that have been given to you in childhood. Stubbornness might be there. Depression, frustration, absolutely. Indecisiveness. Yeah, again, where should I put my money? What job should I take? How's the best road? What's the best pathway to get me to where I want to go? Panic. This is real and alive right now. There is a true panic happening in the world around money. Are you feeling taken for granted? Perhaps maybe you've given people things that the appreciation didn't seem to come back. Again, just take this. What I'll do, I'll post this in the Facebook group so that you can print this out and go back and check, highlight which ones of these are coming up for you. We've got terror. We've got unsupported. Are you feeling like you got to do it all alone? This in particular is up and alive for women. Again, we had these, the old societal roles where men as the provider and women being the provided for. Those roles are changing, and yet we may still have these old tapes playing in the back of our head around I'm not supported. The big one is I'm not supported by the universe or by God. I like to think of God as our infinite source of supply. And actually, we are the ones that are squashing ourselves off that infinite flow. Are you wishy-washy? Do you have certain demands, but that you would like? Let's put out that $250,000 desire for money. Are you a little wishy-washy about, can I do that? How will I do that? This wishy-washy, it's kind of a funny word, but this can be what happens to those New Year's goals. We set a goal, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get in better health, I'm going to make so much more money, and we're wishy-washy. We haven't committed all out, full in on that goal. And so by the second month, it's kind of fallen to second, third tier, and then by here we are in September, it's long forgotten. So have you set wishy-washy targets? And even if you're not there yet, again, have you ever done that? Check that off. Pride, again, pride, so key in our society around the concept of our income with money. The next is shame. I went through this for a long time as I was transitioning into the work that I do now. There was a time when the money flows were not fluid. They weren't happening. And so there was a lot of shame that happened. I wasn't contributing and gifting the way I would like. I wasn't traveling and visiting my family as much as I would like. Huge shame story and alive in this world. Shock. Was there a shocker around money? Have you ever gotten oh gosh, remember the cell phone bills back in the early days when you were limited to the amount of minutes you could have, and that time you opened the bill and there was a $300 bill from your cell phone because you'd overspent your your things. The shocker might come when you open your checking account to go pay a bill and the money that you thought was there wasn't there. Even those moments, those moments of shock can be affecting you now. And then, guys, this is the two: unworthy and worthless are at the core of every issue in our world right now, whether that's in your health, your relationships, your money flows. Unworthy and worthless. So it's fascinating when you look back how many of these are 60 emotions. And it's probably easier to count the number of emotions that we did not check in relationship to money than it was of how many we did check. It was fascinating. I was leading a book study around Margaret Lynch's book. It's called Tapping into Wealth. It's using EFT to tap away what we're going to be doing, just using a different process. But I was doing the tapping and it still felt sticky. I'm like, I'm still getting this. So I switched over to the emotion code. I pulled out this chart. I went through this and I had 44 emotions related to money wounds, whether it was mine or inherited. Yeah, pretty darn amazing. So we just did income. I want to invite you to go back through after this call and do it again in relation to your level of debt. And then go back again and do it in relation to your retirement. Are you going to have enough retirement, enough money to live? You know, our notion of retirement in this world, in the society, this current age, you know, it used to be you got to 65 and you'd worked at the job for so many years and you had what, 15 years to live off your retirement. You saved, it was in your 401k and you started drawing on that. But we're living much longer. We've got that ability to live. This notion of retirement is kind of an outdated, antiquated notion. We get to redefine what retirement is for us. And guess what? We get to create a new way that we can earn some money and be a value in this world that goes beyond the age of 60 or 65 or even 70. Like we can contribute in ways and be plugged into that abundant flow of attracting money into our lives much beyond those years. So what of these emotions, you know, and maybe you think about it as far as what kind of beliefs or limiters are inflicted upon us by whether it's the church or our societies or our, you know, our working, just the mindset about how we work with these different aspects. So again, I'll post this chart in the Facebook group. You can go through them 3 times over. The first with income, the second, with debt, the next with your level of savings. How are you doing with savings? And then the fourth is about your retirement. Go through this. I'm not going to take the time right now, but we already dug up plenty in relation to the concept of income. So now I want to go in and show you a couple things. I put on the bottom here a couple of ways in which safety is a big issue right now. That fight or flight thing, that contraction that we're all in globally right now, because, there's been lots of money pumped into the economy. We're looking at recession. People are talking about inflation. Is it safe? Am I safe? Or some people, it's not safe to have money because then somebody's going to steal it from me. Crime is up. We're hearing more and more these stories. The police is here in the United States is defunded. And so now there's all kinds of robberies that are up. So are you feeling like it's not safe to have money? Are you feeling like you're deserving to have money? Are you deserving to earn more than your parents are? A lot of times we've got vows to our parents to not out earn what they ever were able to do. But again, this is an old storyline because we have so much more available to us than even our parents did just one generation ago. Do I believe I can? Again, we can maybe have a goal. You've set that goal to earn that number, but do you truly, truly believe that you are the one capable of doing it? That you've got the skills, the knowledge, the resourcefulness, but really that factor of believing that you can have this? And are you 100% aligned with that? Do you have conflicting goals maybe that you're not able to 100% focus on achieving that thing? So that's some of the undercurrent that can play into these emotions. But now what I want to do is I call this a money packet. So imagine just vibrationally, remember the old, the Xerox machines, and they would have the white light that would scan the document. It would kind of go. I want you to imagine doing that and pick up over this chart. You kind of have in mind all the ones that were resonating for you. Use that white light and pick up the resonance of all those words that came up to you. Was it anxiety, nervousness, worry, despair, crying, discouragement, sadness, sorrow, anger, bitterness, resentment, blame, dread, fear, horror, peeved, humiliation, jealousy, longing, overwhelm, effort unreceived? Can you feel this building? Imagine scanning this and putting this into this gold path. I'm going to continue reading because we really want to get this at a vibrational level. Imagine overjoy, insecurity, vulnerability, failure, helplessness, hopelessness, lack of control, low self-esteem, confusion, defensiveness, grief, self-abuse, stubbornness, depression, frustration, indecisiveness, panic, taken for granted, conflict, creative insecurity, terror, unsupported, wishy-washy, pride, shame, shock, and the big ones, unworthy and worthless. Again, imagine just scanning every last cell. We've got 9 trillion cells. Each one of them have the ability to hold consciousness and energy. Imagine scanning the body and picking up all the resonance out of those cells, 9 trillions of them. Collect all that energy up and imagine just transferring that into a golden sack in front of you. We're going to call this a money packet. And now I want to walk you through the process that I use. It is called the emotion code. And the emotion code holds that we hold these energies into our bodies and that they are just that, they're energy. And with the power, we've heard like the power of prayer, the power of intention is so incredibly strong. And we can amplify that intention by using a magnet. I'm going to actually use my selenite heart that you saw me with last week, but to use a magnet or something that's going to amplify the intention around the release. We're going to pray for the release of this energy, that it be complete and that it be transferred out of our body into this money packet where it's going to be transmuted by the golden light, by the universe, by however you want to release that. Some people want to drop kick this money money packet. Some want to sink it in the ocean. So we're going to get to that. But I wanted to to walk through the whole process, because there's three. We're going to bring up the energy. We've got that now set aside. We're now setting the intention that this be released from us for good. That's the thing. This whole resonance is going to be released complete today, right now, for good, from your subconscious, from your physical body. All of this is being released and discorded. And then what we'll do is, using a release statement, and I've put it here on the left-hand side. This is my interpretation. I've added a little bit more for this money packet from what the emotion code teaches, but here's what we're going to intend. With love and intention, I release the trapped emotions of, we're going to call this our money packet, and everything that represents, through all time, all dimensions, and all bodies. And so what I mean by that is all time, like, how many previous lifetimes have you had where you've been both the pauper and the prince? Have you been the criminal stealing the money and the one who got stolen from? We've been on both sides of this. So through all times, all dimensions, is all the dimensions of that reality that are piled up right now, and through all bodies. So the bodies that we're exposed to right now, our families might still be in our orb, or the people that we're working with might be the new influence, but we're talking the collective right now. There is so much going on in this collective. All bodies too. I like to think of this, the bodies in our lineage. When we do energy work like this, we can positively influence up to 300,000 other people. And so I like to think of all those souls that are no longer embodied, that would love to have had these tools that are available to us now. Consciousness is rising. And so we have the unique ability, and I believe the unique right and duty, to release this now, so that we're not passing on like that old karma, if you will, the old drama stories that our ancestors, my grandparents, didn't have talks about abundance. Like, we are so lucky to live in this time now. So bring those souls along. I believe they're like wind under our wings. Allow them to ride along with us as we release this from our bodies, from that they don't want to see this being passed on to their great grandkids. Let's, like, the buck stops here, that the blocks stop here. Don't pass this on to your kids, regardless of what age they are at the effect of your vibration. So if you love your kids and your grandkids, please take this with full sincerity. Devote 100% attention right now to this focus of releasing this from your body. And so let me take this to the next step with the emotion code. The information, energy, our bodies are transmitting information through the use of the meridians in our body. And so the emotion code uses the governing meridian, which is like the main superhighway from which all the other ones kind of offshoot. It actually runs from your chin, goes over your head, all the way down to your sacrum. But what we're going to do is, using the intention and your magnifying agent, is just start from your forehead and run it over the back of your head. And we'll do that. We'll do it a total of 10 times. And I invite you to be thinking of this release statement. I'm going to say it aloud like 3 or 4 times, just so we can do it together. But again, for you to go back, ideally, we're going to do a money packet right now. It's so important to consider if these emotions are being fully released, and oftentimes they are they're being impacted by lots of different factors. So you want to go through and identify those ones that are super strong for you and do those individually. So you can, that's what an emotion code session is, using, and this is how the whole process goes, is I would use muscle testing to identify what are the top emotional blocks for you at this moment in time. Your subconscious and your body have a body wisdom. It's innate in all of us that can prioritize where these top emotions and blockages are. We're the ones who are creating it. And we might have been at the effect of things that happen, but we are the ones that are continuing to hold that in place. So what happens with this is, when we release it, it allows you to come to this clear choice point. Does this old story still work for me? Am I ready to put into place new actions, create new habits, and the belief structures that now of like, heck yeah, I deserve to earn more money and work less time than ever because I'm choosing to make a greater impact in the world or make a greater impact contribution at my job, whatever that is for you. So anyways, we're going to do this collective thing because we're as a group here. But so this is what it's going to look like. You ready? Again, imagine scanning that list, all those emotions we just read. Now we put that into our money packet. This money packet, this gold packet is in front of us. And imagine holding that in your left hand now. Take something, you can do it with your fingers. You can use something as simple as a refrigerator magnet, a magnet of any type. Again, I'm using my selenite because I love this. And so this is what you would do is just running it over the forehead down to the back of your neck, just comfortably, however far you can release or reach. And say this: with love and intention, I now release the trapped emotions in my money packet and everything that represents through all time, all dimensions, and all bodies. Let's do that 4 or 5 times. With love and intention, I release the trapped emotions in my money packet and everything it represents through all time and space, all dimensions, and all bodies. With love and intention, I release the trapped emotions in my money packet and everything it represents through all time, all dimensions, all bodies. Let's do it 2 more times. With love and intention, I release the trapped emotions in my money packet and everything it represents through all time, all dimensions, and all bodies. 1 more time. With love and intention, I release the trapped emotions of my money packet and everything it represents through all time, all dimensions, and all bodies. Now take a nice deep breath. Imagine allowing yourself to put aside any disbelief, dive fully into the belief that this process has effectively collected any resonance of these old trapped emotions and brought them forth and released them from your psyche, from your subconscious, from your physical body. Take a nice deep breath and allow yourself to know that this can be complete. This can be complete to the level of your belief right now. When I work individually, we'd be going deeper and I'll be using muscle testing to go in and double check. Has this been released? You know, is there more sadness to be released? Is there more unworthy to be released? Is there more safety type vulnerability? Is it longing or overwhelm? And we can go in and identify individually these things. You can go back and play with this over and over again. It's amazing what you can achieve on your own just playing with this technique. And again, I'm so grateful for Dr. Bradley Nelson, who created this but shares it so openly. I'll put this chart on the Facebook page so you can access it for yourself and just play with this. But I would highly suggest and invite you into giving me a call, setting up a time for us to do one of these sessions. And we can do one, I would allow like a 90-minute so that we can go deep with this and identify what it is for you, And then for today, now that we've released this, what I want to do is invite you to, we've got a space, like this stuff takes up physical space in our body, even though it's energy. These energy balls can be like lemons. Some people have cantaloupe-sized energetic balls of resistance that we've been gathering up. Because think, this is going back decades. If you are 50 and this happened in your childhood days, you've been dragging this along for 40 days and 40 years. So it could be like a big cantaloupe-sized thing. So once we've released this out, there's spaciousness in the body, and we want to make sure and go back in and replace that with the positive. So let's imagine like liquid gold. Imagine almost like an egg just cracking on your head, and imagine the feeling of liquid gold infusing your body, sinking down over your head, going down your throat, over your shoulders, into that heart space, filling the lungs as it slides down, filling your torso, over your belly. Or in terms of chakras, thinking about those the sacred chakras, your womb space being healed of any money wounds and traumas, sinking down into the sacrum, down your legs, your thighs, now filling up with golden, beautiful, rich, spacious light. Imagine it going down your calves, into your feet, all the way down to your toes. There's so much goldness, so much abundance, so much money coming your way. Imagine through your body all the way down to your toes, now sinking down into the earth, grounding into the earth. There's so much abundance. It is ever overflowing. It is endless. It is limitless. And this gold light sinking down into the core of the earth. Taking a nice breath, feeling into that, allowing those 9 trillion cells to soak up all this vibration of this beautiful gold, filling its space. Maybe there's some words you want to put to this for yourself. How does that make you feel? I am abundant. Maybe you're grounded. Maybe there's peace. Maybe there's eagerness. What are those words that would come up for you? I feel deserving. I'm worthy of that goal. Imagine instilling those very beliefs, calling that in for yourself. Is it tingly? Is there a sensation? Is it hot? Is it cold? How is that for you? Allow your body to bask in that. All right. I want to share this affirmation. Florence Shin is a woman who wrote in just after the Depression. I love that there's these periods of time where new thought came in, and she has the most beautiful affirmations, but I think this one in particular, just to ground us in this amazing, amazing vibration. All that is mine by divine right is now released and reaches me in great avalanches of abundance, under grace, in miraculous ways. And I like the word miraculous because to me, it can come in ways that we can't even possibly even imagine. Would you be willing to receive more money in your life this week, today, this month, this year, in ways that you couldn't have figured out rationally? Would you be willing to receive from the back of you, the side of you, from future, from the past, from people you have yet to meet? Allow yourself to open and affirm this now. Allow this to be your new setting. All that is mine by divine right is now released and reaches me in great avalanches of abundance under grace and in miraculous ways. So that is all I wanted to share today, my friends, limitless women and evolved men out there tuning in. Emotions are meant to be energy in motion. Allow them to come, allow them to go. We cannot release them if we continue to avoid, ignore, shove, stagnate them in any way. So when things come up, allow that. And the conversation is real right now. There are some needs for concern. The dog does need to go outside, but don't allow your vibration to be almost like mandated by the current circumstances. You need to plug in and be aware of what's happening with the economy or with the job opportunities or the entrepreneurial techniques. And you get to choose for yourself. Allow yourself to become the vibration that now is going to be that vibrational match with that level 10 desire you put out into the world. Are you the vibrational match for earning that $250,000 or whatever your thing is? We want to release as we did today. We may need to go over that. We may need to get individual support and releasing the old, they're like anchors holding you back, or the overtangles that might be continuing to influence you from other people. Let's go in, release those. We did such great work today. How would you calibrate your vibration to be now? Your level 10 goal. and where you started with when we were identifying the income, how are you now? And continue to reinforce that now. Use your affirmations. Again, next week is going to be big. We're going to be talking about how it is that we find evidence for one of my favorite affirmations is it is happening, because it is happening every moment, moment to moment. We're creating our future by the beliefs, by the emotions we're dragging around, by the choices that we make. And your future, our present right now is influenced by what we've been thinking and vibrating up until now. So how do we begin to plug into the evidence? Heck yeah, this is happening, and creating that belief, but that belief level of belief. We do that with gratitude and the love. Like, I'm loving the journey. I'm loving this journey that I'm on. This is happening. We celebrate the micro wins along the way so that it becomes a real momentum for you achieving the very thing that you're desiring. So people, thank you so much for tuning in. It's my great pleasure to share this kind of work. I wish for you complete abundance, and I am here for you at any time. Please, again, feel free to reach out to me to support you in any way. I am here for you. I love, adore you, and I'm honored to support you on your own journey to allowing that great avalanches of abundance to find you with grace in ways that are miraculous to you. So go forth and prosper, my friends. Ciao.